So my presentation is entitled Beyond the Surface, mainly because what I will be talking about in regards to ceramic tiles has to do a lot with the surface, about the sort of design opportunities that tiles have in modern architecture. And probably a fairly iconic one would be Jorn Utsson's Sydney Opera House. Uses a small mosaic tile exterior. In regards to mosaic tiles, particularly today, I've noticed an interest in pixelation, which I believe is kind of coming from a language of, being on computers, a sort of low-res, high-pixelated idea. This is the Parisian street artist Invader, and obviously this composition is done in Rubik's cubes, but the basic idea is that he creates images in a sort of low-res, pixelated way. This is his tag, and he creates murals all across different streetscapes and cities. The illustrator Christoph Niemann, as well, recently was doing a project for his interior bathroom in Berlin, creating pixelated images of Iconic. And what he ended up with is just the basic Brillo pad logo done in a low-res sort of rendition. This is the architect Craig Steely. He did a circular bathroom where the ceiling doesn't go all the way up, or the wall doesn't go all the way up to the ceiling, and you get a nice juxtaposition of the materials. Mosaico is a great example of an Italian company that has a variety of mosaics and incredibly small mosaic tiles too. This actually is a great project using quite small mosaic tiles. It's the architect Rene Gonzalez, and he did this large-scale mural for the SIFA building. And basically, this is Bezaza tiles, and they're 20 by 20 millimeter tiles that were done by 12 by 12 panels, basically, all assembled by hand and then put onto aluminum. Sort of like attached onto aluminum panels and then attached to an aluminum frame that kind of went around the building. This is the Innoterra office building. This is in Taiwan. And this project is interesting because it's basically a play on the glass facade sort of office building, and then they have the production area in the back. And the interplay between the glass panels and the ceramic mosaic tiles on the back. This is Bernard Schumi, who actually won the Italian Ceramics of Italy design in 2004, and this is the Paul Sejas Architecture School. Again, this is sort of a pixelated facade that is using larger scale tiles. This is an interesting example of Koto tiles, which are traditional Italian tiles, and it's just the idea that you can use a very staid traditional tile and apply it in a modern form. This is an edition in the UK, and basically they used red clinker tiles to respond to a traditional brick building in the front, and it's kind of a way to have these two materials speak to each other. This is the architect Michael P. Johnson, and he used Marazzi's black polished porcelain tiles as a way to make a more active facade for a very staid, rectangular kind of office building. I think it's interesting because a lot of glass facades that are reflective kind of don't have such a smooth kind of aesthetic as this one does. And this is also Michael P. Johnson. This is a residential project, and this is a good example of what tiles can do in an interior and exterior context. Interior-wise, tiles can work as a heat sink and help with passive solar. The passive solar process. So during the day, it will capture sunlight and heat, and then throughout the evening, slowly release this. And In this project particularly, he uses the same tile both inside and outside. So the element in the room is some projects that I've seen that are using tiles as sort of a statement piece. Perhaps the projects are very clean and modern, and then they have this very exuberant kind of element in the architecture. And one of the most interesting ones that I've seen recently is Tado Ando and Oliver Eliasson collaborated on this project. It's a gallery and guest house. And Eliasson did the ceramic tiles on this, it's basically like an interior courtyard. And metallic, it's like a metallic glaze sort of, gives the facade a sort of three-dimensional quality. There are a number of tiles that are available now that are kind of playing with these ideas. Monachibic has the Enigma series, which also has a three-dimensional facade, also has metallic glazes that are interesting and create a sort of variegated surface. Mosaico's Dialogi collection also has a three-dimensional quality, even though it's one surface. There's sort of glass tiles mixed in with opaque tiles. Sicis Waterglass too is, this is a very green example of it, but you could get it in a variety of colors, and it would be this sort of very dramatic statement. One thing that should be said about tiles is there's a 50-year life cycle on tile, and they again, like I was saying, it acts as a heat sink for passive solar, so there are lots of benefits to using it as flooring. Imola's Strobus collection is a great example. Also, if you're thinking about using a hardwood that perhaps isn't sustainably harvested, using a ceramic sort of option is good, is an alternative to that. And this is Fiordo's Concrete. Again, comes in multiple colors, and it can be used both indoors and outdoors. Ceramics of Italy have a number of tiles now that are using floral designs in a kind of subtle way. Perhaps this one isn't the most subtle, but the colors are pretty staid. There's just, a fine outline of white, and the color, a basic sort of cement or slate color. This is Marazzi's Soho. Settecento's Visionaire is another example. This is probably the most literal version. Viva's Black Flower. This line was done with Patrizia Moroso, and it employs digital photography, and it's then put on to the ceramic tiles. In relation to the digital printing on tiles, this is a concept by the UK firm Ab Rogers for Little Chef, and they basically were thinking about the tradition of roadside dining and created a whole sort of interior motif that is predominantly tile. They use digital printing on the ceiling. They have tiles that have recipes written on them, and just basic sort of subway tile style design. Etruria's digital. This is definitely a novelty kind of tile, but interestingly can be used as signage, or I could see it being interspersed with other tile design. This is another one of Marazzi's Soho collection, but this one is actually has a mesh mounted back, so you can actually see it over at the booth too. It kind of gives this geometric surface as well. In terms of sustainability, ceramics, I think, inherently have a lot of sustainable qualities. This makes it a great option for buildings that are really trying to make a statement about sustainable building practices. This is the World Wildlife Federation building in Holland, and this is by Rao Architects. And the major section of this building is sort of clad in ceramic tiles, and these are custom so that birds will actually create their nests inside of them. This is the 2009 Ceramic Tile of Italy Design Contest winner for the residential section. The building has solar panels in the front as well. Cesar too is another brand that's really pushing their sustainable lines in all of their tiles. Thank you.